Remember years ago when you were afraid, frightened, terrified of the dark? Welcome back.
"30 years ago, two identical roller coasters would open, revolutionizing ways to launch guests, all covered in world-class theming. However, in these 30 years, these coasters have had a very interesting run, from overhauls to rebrands to everything in between. So today, we're launching straight into the very interesting history of Flight of Fear. Kings Island, located in Mason, Ohio, opened its gates on April 29th, 1972, as the first theme park owned and operated by the Taft Broadcasting Company. The plan for the park was to resurrect the recently closed Coney Island, which sat along the Ohio River. With this opening came 3 roller coasters, the largest of which being the Racer, a wooden coaster that still exists today, and is notable for being featured in an episode of The Brady Bunch. This not only gave Kings Island media attention, but also gave them ties to Paramount Television, which became a very large part of the park's history. In the next 20 years, Kings Island continued to expand, as well as change ownership, the largest of which being in 1984, when the park was sold to Kings Entertainment Company, or KECO for short. Along with Kings Island, this company owned 7 other parks, including Kings Dominion, which became the sister park to Kings Island. For the next 8 years, these parks continued to be managed by KECO, until both the company and most of their parks were bought out by a large name we know all too well.
The following preview has been rated T for totally thrilling.
As soon as Paramount got their hands on Kings Island and its sister parks, they pitched an idea for a new indoor attraction themed to the company's Star Trek series, Deep Space Nine. However, as a sequel series, it of course underperformed, calling for the whole idea to be scrapped in 1994. But this was only the beginning for indoor attractions at Paramount Parks, as just 1 year later, both Kings Island and Kings Dominion began teasing a new for 1996 attraction.
These elaborate field markings are part of today's announcement at the Canobie theme park. The space theme and extraterrestrial elements will be a part of a major new attraction, the Outer Limits Flight of Fear.
The 2 indoor roller coasters themed to the Outer Limits TV show were to be constructed by Premier Rides, with plans to feature world-class special effects and thrills. Soon, construction quickly began, and although the opening had to be pushed back 2 months, both attractions successfully began operation on June 18, 1996. Many guests entered the parks that day, and were greeted by a mysterious military base building with lots of questions to be answered through the queue and experience. As guests entered the buildings, they walked through a mysterious concrete hallway before being dumped into the main queue room, revealing that this building is a UFO hangar and you're about to go on a trip. The room features futuristic equipment, scaffolding, stationary worker statues, lots of details, and of course, a massive UFO with changing lights in which guests enter. As sound effects play, one more hallway takes you to the main station building with more sci-fi details. While waiting for your ride, all that guests could see were the trains ahead of them launching into complete darkness and then returning without passengers. Guests soon boarded the train and pulled down their over-the-shoulder restraint, which was later replaced by a lap bar for comfort. Then, the launch. The world's first linear induction motor launch system used an electromagnetic wave to propel the train from 0 to 54 miles per hour in just 3 seconds, catapulting riders straight into darkness. From here, riders likely expected the advertised world-class special effects on a similar level to attractions like Disney's Space Mountain or even Cedar Point's original Disaster Transport, but they were instead met with complete darkness. So, how about we turn the lights on? That's better. Guests quickly launch into a spaghetti bowl layout featuring 4 inversions, and lots of twists in complete emptiness and silence. Even so, the ride was a hit, reaching lines up to 5 hours and getting rave reviews. It truly seemed that Paramount had found themselves a winner, but this success wasn't without major issues behind the scenes. Even from the first cycle, the launch had lots of problems. Being the fastest accelerating launch in the world at the time, and using 3 megawatts of electric power, the linear induction motor often caused blackouts to not just the ride, but Kings Island and Kings Dominion as a whole, as well as surrounding facilities. This was solved, but along with function problems, the launch system cost so much more than Premier Rides expected that Paramount actually sued the company, although this was also later settled. Aside from the launch, the trains had many issues, along with the original bulky restraints. As I mentioned, they were later replaced, the reason for this being not only complaints of roughness, but actual incidents in which riders physically came off the ride, concussed. This was the final straw in which lap bars were put on the train. Along the same time, Paramount actually lost the licensing to the Outer Limits, so they used this as an overhaul and stripped the ride of its original identity. Now simply named Flight of Fear, the ride continues operation, just with a basic, yet hard-to-follow space theme. Through the years, both attractions have stayed essentially the same, but as Dick Kinzel and Cedar Fair took over the sister parks in 2006, they found themselves going in slightly different directions. At Kings Island, the ride remains essentially identical as we saw it in the 2001 overhaul, just with slight improvements to the exterior. Meanwhile, at King's Dominion, Flight of Fear stands in the Jungle Expedition area of the park, calling for a repaint of the exterior and a new theme in the queue, now placing it in the fictional Way Foundation research facility. However, here in 2026, the ride is, at its core, the same at both parks, and I don't see that changing anytime soon, because even though Flight of Fear, or Outer Limits, or however you may think of it, has had a wild and maybe not perfect life, it stood as a testament to the creativity of the original Paramount parks, in a time where theme parks wanted to create bigger and better. It was a milestone, so it makes sense that it still racks up long waits 30 years later. Maybe it's not everyone's favorite attraction, but I think even if it's not stated or even shown on the ride anymore, everyone should have a chance to board and ride to the Outer Limits.
Dolphins can swim.